Welcome to the Love and Sex Today show with Dr. Doug Weiss. Doug has been healing hearts and relationships for decades. He's helped thousands of people release the shame and the guilt, restoring hope, helping people get free from addictions to enjoy a better sex and love life. Here he is, your host, Dr. Doug Weiss.
Welcome to Love and Sex Today. I am Dr. Doug Weiss, and I will be your host for our 49th conversation, Serving Your Spouse. This is going to be a great topic, and for some of you, this whole concept is going to re-paradigm your marriage, your long-term relationship, maybe even the relationship you have with other people in your life, because this is not a Western term. This is not a Western idea, and these principles we're going to talk about today can totally reformat you. So I'm excited because I know the people who've applied these principles I'm going to talk about today have had some real transformation in their own heart and in their own relationships. Don't forget to go to loveandsextoday.com. Subscribe there, review us on iTunes, and one of you will be selected for a one-time private conversation with myself. They tell me that's priceless and valuable, but for me, it's just fun to get to know you. Also, there's a free chapter on the webpage, and there's the button, Dr. Doug. Give us your voice, your questions, your topics that you want to talk about, maybe some part of your story you want to share. We love hearing from you, and we are excited about getting some of you on the show. Now, I want to get to this topic today, serving your spouse. This topic, you are going to wish your spouse would listen to. This is going to probably be one of the most shared podcasts of all of them so far, because we're going to talk about one of the most important paradigms you have in your marriage or long-term relationship. Now, just walk down the aisle, okay? Go back to that day, if you've been married, and, in front of everybody and all the people and all that kind of stuff, both of you with different role models for marriage, different personalities, different subcultures, are creating something totally new. Something that never existed before, will never exist again. Your personalities will never be duplicated. Your histories will never be duplicated. Your preferences and idiosyncrasies, all that magnificent combination of two human beings coming together in matrimony or in a committed relationship will never reoccur. And some of you who've had several long-term relationships understand they were all different. They were all unique. There's different energy and ideas and philosophies and theologies and preferences, and just even the way people interact is totally amazing to me, how complex that all is. And I've been counseling couples now for decades. And let me tell you some of the paradigms that can be very deadly to a long-term relationship or marriage. Okay, these are ideas. When I say a paradigm, it's an idea that people have in their heart or in their mind, and they carry it into the marriage. And this can be detrimental to how well and how healthy the new creation, the new marriage, the new relationship can actually become. So here's some things that are deadly. It's all about me and my needs. When a self-absorbed person gets into a long-term relationship, they constantly are looking to be served. They are looking to see how you pleasure them, how you please them, how you make their life better, how you improve them emotionally or financially or spiritually or in some way. It is all about them. The all about me person, it's a sad person, but there are people in long-term relationships. Hopefully you're not one. Hopefully you're not married to one. But that idea can be really, really helpful. Another idea, I am allowed to dominate the other person. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. You might control through money. You might control through sex. You might control through anger. You might control through silence. You might control through not touching. But I am allowed to dominate and inflict the other person at will. Really a bad idea. Another one, I always have to be in control. And that's a tough one because control doesn't really exist. And so the person who's under the delusion that control exists tries to kind of force this fairy tale on the other person. And the fairy tale goes that they're basically the king or queen and you're supposed to obey them. And if you have a different idea, well, too bad for you. Go with mine and things are smoother. Okay, another really sad idea is I never say I'm sorry. I'm not flawed, you are. I'm not wrong, you are. I can't admit I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong, I'm all bad, or I'm evil, or somehow I'm not whatever the not is. It is so sad when I deal with people like this, especially those who struggle with intimacy anorexia. There's a whole book on that called Intimacy Anorexia. They never can say they're sorry. They have to be in the good box all the time. They can't be authentic. These are really bad ideas. And I could go on and on and on about the paradigms that people bring into marriage. It can be really, really sad. But one of the core of these bad ideas, if I gave you 50 bad ideas, you could distill most of those down to this one bad idea. I am here to be served, and you are here to serve me. This constantly puts you grading your spouse and evaluating your whole relationship on how well it's going for you. There's no we, it's me and how well you serve me. Now, it is a total day of freedom when you or your spouse realize that you're really called to serve them. When I realize that I'm called to serve Lisa, that I am her servant, yes, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, maybe I have more of this or more of that, but she has more of different things than I do. But I am called to serve her. This changes everything. This takes every bad paradigm and flips it upside down. You see, now I need to evaluate how well am I doing as far as giving patience to her, or kindness to her, or understanding to her. And if you're not good at any of these things, there's a great book called The 7 Love Agreements, can help you work on that. How well am I understanding? How good and engaged am I sexually? How generous am I with them, with my time, with my energy, with ideas, with support, with encouragement? See, when I realize that I'm actually here to serve her, I'm free. Everything I do changes. Because I'm a servant, I don't have to have an attitude about picking up dishes or picking up a towel that's on the floor, or I don't have to have a big ego about anything because I'm really here to serve you. Now, and my wife doesn't take advantage of that. My wife is an adult. Now, of course, if you marry a child, that's going to be tough because you're going to be picking up for 50 years. But however, I am a servant. I have a whole book called The Servant Marriage. If you like this idea, it'll totally transform your life. The servant marriage will walk you through the whole idea of this. But if you get this idea, it'll free you. You will definitely move from having to get to. And it's a pleasure to serve you. It's no big deal to cook a meal or to clean up after a meal. It's no big deal to do a laundry or fold laundry or to put it away. It's no big deal. I'm a servant. I don't have a big ego. It's not all about me. I'm committed to the we, and part of the we is getting this stuff done. Part of the we is dealing with the parenting issues, the financial issues, the spiritual issues, the emotional issues. Of course, I signed up for that. I not only signed up for it, I signed up to serve you, to become an expert at what you are, who you are, what you need, and try to anticipate that and move with that flow, not fight it. If you're a coffee drinker and I'm a tea drinker, I get good at making coffee. How you like it. Because I'm here to serve you. I want you to have a great cup of coffee. You know, in my house, Lisa's a tea drinker, and I drink coffee occasionally. And I totally know how to make her tea. I know exactly what she wants in it, and I can bring it to her. And when I want to serve her really well, I do that. I don't drink tea. Very rarely do I drink tea, but I know how to make that. Okay, I am Lisa's servant, and I know it's my role and my job to serve her and my family with excellence, with a good attitude. You know, I taught my kids, you serve with excellence. And I taught them I'm a servant. I'm a servant of this family. Okay, and you are as well. How well we serve one another is really, that's the loudest thing that tells us who we are, is how well we serve. You see, when you're a servant, you don't act out like a tyrant, no matter what your gender is. You don't have to be a tyrant, male or female. Tyranny is not a good idea for long-term relationships. Now, being a servant, now that can last decades. Serving the other person, ending up with gray hair and retiring and holding each other, knowing each other so well that words aren't almost necessary. Now that is something that can last the decades. So ask yourself, on a scale from 1 to 10, how are you doing at serving your spouse? Now don't try to evaluate how they're serving you. For a moment, clear your mind of you and evaluate how you're operating as a servant. From 1 to 10, how are you serving in the household, regardless of gender? How are you at picking up, cleaning up, making sure things are done? If a light bulb goes out, going and fixing it. If there's dishes, you put them in the dishwasher. If they're in the dishwasher, you put them away. When you walk by the laundry, that you're really good at just throwing it in there. How are you as far as serving romantically? The notes, the cards, the flower, the touch, the I love you, the romanticness. How are you at serving romantically? Because sometimes couples fall off on this area of serving and it hurts them tremendously. How are you at serving sexually? Coming up with the idea and initiating and letting the other person know that I like this. This is fun for me. I love serving you and being part of the sexual encounter with you. How about financially? How are you serving? Whether it's producing or managing or investing, how well do you serve financially your spouse? How are you doing at serving the children together? How do you serve well with your children? Now, as we both become better servants, it always is amazing how our relationships improve. I had a phone session just recently with a couple I've known for a while, and they were complaining about how awful their marriage has become. I haven't seen them in years, and they stopped doing most of what I've asked them to do. They stopped sharing feelings and praying and dating, and sex has gotten kind of where it's a chore more than engagement. And I had to go back over some things. But they forgot that they're there to serve one another. They were just complaining about how bad the other person was doing. Don't be that person. Be the person who's evaluating, how am I serving in my marriage, in my relationship? This goes at work, this goes at everywhere you are. How well do I serve? And when you're a servant where you are, your life is going to be so much better. When it's really about the bigger we than just me, your life, your mind, your heart's going to expand and grow so rapidly. Because self-serving people tend to shrink, where servants tend to grow. It's just amazing. It's just something I've seen over the decades of working with people, and it's just true. Well, hopefully this whole idea about serving really inspires you. If you want more on this, get the Servant Marriage book. It's a great book. It's one of the best marriage books I've written. I've written several, and we get a lot of reviews on that one about the paradigm shifting and how it really changed their heart towards their spouse. Well, don't forget to go to loveandsextoday.com, subscribe there, review us on iTunes, and one of you will be selected for a private conversation with myself every month. Also, get your free chapter on our webpage, and as well, click the button if you want to talk to me. Leave a clear message there. We'd love to hear what your ideas are, what your heart is, and maybe you have some question that you would like us to address on the air. We'd love to get you on the show. So as always, have great love and great sex today.
That's it for our episode of Love and Sex Today with Dr. Doug Weiss. Head on over to loveandsextoday.com and be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes. When you do, and you post a review on iTunes, some lucky listener is going to win every single month a private confidential coaching call with Dr. Doug Weiss. Also, feel free to ask any question you like. You can push a button, speak your question, and Dr. Doug will answer your question in a future episode. So be sure to subscribe to the show. Doug's got some great gifts for you, and we will look forward to seeing you next time.